what ended up happening in the fable was he ended up being turned into gold and paralyzed by this. Well, obviously. So that brings me to my quotation for today. Money is a good servant, but a poor master, by Dominica Bohurs. And I interpret this to mean that you shouldn't let your desires rule you. Through three main examples today. We're going to look at an Incan emperor from the 1500s. We're going to look at the recent government shutdown. And we're going to look at a character from the television show Breaking Bad. So let's get into the Incan emperor's story. The Incan heir to the emperor, Atahualpa, thought he had the best chance of becoming the emperor once his father, Huayna Capac, died in 1525. There were a bunch of other heirs all vying for the throne, but he thought he could get it because he had the military expertise and he had a secret weapon. He was going to meet with the Spanish conquistador Pizarro, and they were going to work together to beat out his other brothers. Problem was that Pizarro knew that he was going to try to use him and actually ended up betraying him. He set up a meetup and ambushed him and captured Atahualpa and killed all of his men. Because of this, Atahualpa thought, well, I'll be able to get out if I just give him some money. But while he was in the prison, he thought he had the greatest opportunity because everyone else in the whole area thought he was gone. So he essentially hired people to assassinate all of his other brothers. And then when he got the money to Pizarro, Pizarro killed him. So because he had this massive desire to become emperor, even when he was in captive, he was still thinking about how he could become the emperor. And what ended up happening was he essentially destroyed the Incan empire because they had no rulers. And this is a society that really relied on rulership to guide the way. So now that we've talked about the Incan emperor Atahualpa, well, would-be emperor, let's talk about the government shutdown in the recent crisis. The Republican Party and the Democrat Party have been very polarized on virtually every single issue for the last several years. But it all came to a head recently in October when the Republican Party decided they would shut down the government over Obamacare. It was essentially their desire for such a long time that they could end this Obamacare. They tried over 43 times to get it repealed, and they had the Supreme Court check it and everything they possibly could. And at this point, they decided, we're going to shut down the government in order to get this defunded. And the result was, everyone ended up hating them. The approval ratings that they had dropped massively to one of the lowest figures it's ever been. They lost a lot of support, and they never ended up actually getting rid of Obamacare in the first place. This was a situation where they shouldn't have let their desires rule them. They should have stopped pushing so hard on that issue and been willing to give up, but they weren't, and that cost them a lot. And now, finally, let's talk about Walter White from Breaking Bad. This man grew to middle age, essentially working as a high school chemistry teacher, and he always felt that he hadn't fulfilled his ambition because he thought of himself as a genius. And to be frank, he was one. But when he was in his college years, he missed out on an opportunity to become a part of a very successful business. His two college friends started this business, and he was a part of it, but he ended up getting bought out because he didn't think it would go anywhere, and they made billions. So he always had this sort of desire to make all that money and to be that strong, wealthy man that they had become. But what ended up happening was when he found out he had cancer, he was like, I haven't done any of this. I've just been a chemistry teacher in high school. And so he decided he was going to start cooking meth, which was just an extremely dangerous and not good situation for anybody. It tore apart his whole family when people started finding out about what happened. He got his brother-in-law killed when his whole goal at the start was to